This is my audience. My name is Danny Roach, and I'm going to be giving an informative speech about the history of football. Terry Bradshaw, Jack Ham, Dick Butkus, Walter Payton, and Jerry Rice. These are some of the names of the greatest legends to play the game of football. Most people that watch this game that we have come to love don't know much about the history of the game. Who's the creator? Who are some of the great players that helped turn this game into something so big? First, I'm going to be talking about who created the game. Walter Camp was the man who created the game that was one of the biggest moneymakers in America today. Known as the father of football, Walter attended Yale College. From Friday Night Lights to waiting all week for Sunday night, we have heard many catchphrases about the game of football. It all started with the game of rugby. Walter Camp wanted a sport that you needed to run a certain number of yards to score. Thus came football. A sport that even he couldn't predict would develop into what has become today. Now that we know who created football, let's learn about some of the greatest players in the game. Reggie White, Don Hutson, Dick Butkus, Walter Payton, and Jerry Rice are some of the best football players as determined by the National Football League Hall of Fame. These players have worked hard enough to earn the coveted gold jacket that all football players dream of growing up. Without these players, football would have never developed into what it has become today. Kids wouldn't grow up with the dream of being like Jerry Rice or being like Ben Roethlisberger. Without these Hall of Famers, who would kids have to idolize? Sure, they can look up to other players or other people not involved in sports, but where would it be without these football players? I don't know either. We know the legends, so let's talk about the game now. Almost every kid grew up throwing a football around with their friends. But does anyone think about where the football came from, why it's the shape it is, or what it's made out of? The pigskin was not shaped for aerodynamics like most people think it was. The shape of the football actually came to be by accident. They couldn't get the ball to blow up more oval-like because the tucked-in ends popped out. With new improvements, they were able to make the ball an oval, but decided to keep its funny shape because it was more familiar. What if football was never invented? This might not be important to some people to know these kinds of things, but to me, I can't imagine my life without football. The Iowa Hawkeyes and the Pittsburgh Steelers are my favorite football teams to watch, and someday I hope to play for them. I can't even believe how much money people spend on apparel, like this sweatshirt, or window clings, clothes, car decals, pet outfits, and some other crazy things that people buy to support their sports teams. According to the Market Watch, National Football League took in $15 billion last year between tickets, travel, apparel, and food. That is an unbelievable amount of money. But where would all that money go if we didn't have football? Maybe not important, but interesting to think about. Carrie Underwood is one of the many people that we, as Americans, see who remind us of football, thanks to her Sunday Night Football introduction song. Some people may think of Lady Gaga because of her halftime show. The Super Bowl is one of the biggest parties of the year. Speaking of Super Bowl, did you know that people spent close to $14.4 billion on food, apparel, and decorations for the Super Bowl? This is down $1 billion from last year. That's crazy. Some people prefer to take off the day after the Super Bowl, opposed to taking off family Christmas. Luke Bryan performed at this year's Super Bowl. Luke sang the national anthem while Lady Gaga came floating in from the ceiling during the halftime show. One big controversial topic in football was concussions. In 2015, 271 concussions were reported involving football players, being the highest number reported concussions. That went up by 58% from 2012, which now ranks as the second most concussions. This, of course, is only from the players who report their concussions. Back in the 1960s and 1970s, players thought it was a weakness to report concussions or any injury. Unfortunately, those players who are still alive are paying for it in the form of CTE, a chronic traumatic disease of the brain. Now that you know about some of the all-time great football players and who created the game, you can relate to the game now. It's crazy to think that Walter Camp, Reggie White, and Carrie Underwood are all some names that you hear that remind you of the game of football. I look forward to those football weekends. Thank you.